Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to get a really usable drum sound quickly using Slate VMR in parallel with a really simple chain of effects that just sounds great in my experience and also will translate to most instruments. So I'll just let you hear the drums in isolation here. So that's dry. What I would normally do is add in VCC Channel, put it on USA, and then unlink the group IO and dial it back just to get the input that I want, which determines the amount of saturation. If you're not really sure how to use VCC, what you can do is just drive it really hard and you can hear the saturation that it's added, but in an extreme way. So the USA is adding a lot of weight to the low end there with the saturation. The Brit 4K. The Brit 4K G series. That was the first one was the E series. The Brit N. Trident, and the RC tube. You can hear a pretty big difference there with the USA, but then when you dial it back, it's a lot more subtle. I think by driving it to the extremes, you can kind of train your ear to hear even a subtle amount of it in the mix. I'll start off with the custom Opto, and I'll drive it up so it's about 10 dB of gain reduction. I'll put it in aggro mode. I think aggro mode sounds awesome on drums. That's pretty extreme compression, but if you take a mix back to about 30 odd percent and then bring the output up again, I'll do an AB on that, so that's it bypassed, and that's it with. So even just the parallel compression from FG Opto alone get you a really awesome sounding drum bus compression in no time. What I like to do though is add a little bit of custom lift in punchy mode and present mode, and I just add in a little bit of punch. You can really hear that low end, and then we're bringing a bit of presence as well. I'll bring the output back just a touch to level match comparison. So that's bypassed. And that will translate, the same sort of technique will translate to pretty much any of the compressors in this Slate bundle, or any compressor really that you have. I think it's a really good way for you to get familiar with the character of the compressors as well. So if I, for instance, switch this one out for FG Stress, so it's doing about 12 dB of compression. If I bring it back to about 30% again, then bring the output back up, that's bypassed. For me, I love what Custom Opto's doing there. I like what FG Stress is doing as well. A bit more aggressive and in your face. And again, I'm not going to go through all the compressors, but this is a really good way to become familiar with what the compressors are doing and what their character is. So if I switch this out for the vintage 1176, for example, and I drive that to minus 10 dB or 10 dB of compression, put it on 8 ratio. I'll put the high pass filter on. You can hear there it's a very different character. And it appears louder, but if you look at the meter here, it's actually not as loud. So it's all saturation. I'll just do one more. I'll do the FG401, which is an awesome sounding compressor as well. For me, I think Custom Opto or the FG Stress, or, well, FG401 as well actually. FG116 vintage is a little bit aggressive for this particular track. I'll let you hear them within the context of the mix here quickly before I end this. So that's Custom Opto. Just increase the ratio with the Custom Opto actually. Yeah, I like the sound of both of those. You can hear how much more forward and aggressive the 1176 vintage is. And then the 401. Bring the ratio up on that one a little bit more as well, just so that there's a similar ratio on all of them. In this particular instance, I think FG Stress is just sitting better in the mix. So yeah, hopefully people will find that insightful, and yeah, I would recommend just playing around with these different compressors and getting familiar with the different character of them. I think driving them in parallel like that with an extreme gain reduction of about 10 dB is a good way to really get familiar with the characteristics and then dial back with the mix knob and blend it in. It'll work on pretty much any source, but it works particularly well on drums, I've found. For most other sources, I tend to use between 3 and 5 dB gain reduction, and maybe between 50-75% on the mix knob. And just play around with the attack and release settings till you get the feel that you're after, and yeah, have fun with it. Hopefully people find this useful. Cheers.